So here you see this many variables will come 1, 2, 3, 4 variables will come into picture. Okay. So you have to get this velocity fields UVW, then only this equation will be solved. Okay. And nowadays, these equations called as Navier-Stokes equations combinedly. Essentially, they were momentum equations only, but combinedly nowadays there is a fashion to call along with the energy equation as a Navier-Stokes equation. Have you noted it? Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Have you noted it? Please note it. Shall I move to the next page? I'm not going to save any document. Okay. So, voice is not clear. Mahesh? Mahesh, am I audible? Mahesh, am I audible? Am I audible, Mahesh?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, but then
Sir,
from what you are saying,
when you are saying your sound is getting little feeble.
mm, no, that's fine. I mean, I'm writing on the board, so you just focus on what I'm writing on the board. Huh?
Okay.
Feeble in the sense what? I mean, the pitch is getting low.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So writing and speaking might have that combination.
Okay.
Okay, so have you noted this equation? This equation? Okay, so these equations analytical solutions of the above equations will be at all infinite number of points and points and at all other time levels. What does it mean? It means you will get u as a solution of x, y, z, and t. Okay. Similarly, v will be a solution of x, y, z, and t. W will be a solution of x, y, z, and t. Temperature T will be the solution at all x points, y point, z point, and times. Okay. And you have to remember that these are the solutions at all infinite number of points and all times. Okay. Infinite number of points means all the points which are close to close in the domain. Okay. However, the CFD solutions, the CFD solutions, however, are at discrete points and time levels. Okay. So what does it mean? You get a solution u as a function of u some delta x, delta y, delta z, or delta t. Okay. So this will be I, j, k like that at different deltas. So you need to know what delta you are talking about. Say for example, you have a domain. I'm just giving a blur idea right now. So if I divided this domain into different subdomains, so this is the first delta x, then this second delta x, third delta x, fourth delta x. First delta y, second delta y, third delta y, like that. Okay. So this is suppose delta x and this is delta. So here you can represent which delta x you are talking. You can talk in terms of I, j, k, and n. Okay, so it can be I, j, k, and n. Okay. So you will get all the values of u, v, and w. So I am just making it now vector notation such a way that I don't have to repeat again. Time is gone. Leave. Oh. And temperature T will also be like that. Temperature T will be a solution at I delta x, j delta y, k delta z, and n delta. Okay. So you got this. The difference between the analytical solution and CFD solution is this. You have a discrete solution at different points. So in general, in CFD, there are three stages. In general, CFD solution has three stages. What are those? First stage is called as pre-processing. Pre-processing. And the second process is called as processing phase. Processing. And third process is called as post-processing. Okay. Now, in case of the In case of the pre-processing, you divide a domain into certain subdomains. So that is called as grid generation. So here you do a grid generation. Okay. Grid generation means dividing a domain, divide a physical domain, physical domain, domain into subdomains. Subdomains. Okay. So you have suppose this domain, then you will divide it into small domains. So that you can use this CFD method on this subdomains. At every small domain, you will do solve for this domain, then you will solve for the next domain, like that you will keep on solving for the domain. You will combine the equations generated out of it and solve these equations, and you will get the values of U, V, W, and velocity field and temperature field or any other field. So now during the processing process, this is called a solution process. Okay, this is called a solution process. So when you want to solve, for example, Navier equation, you may need specification of alpha. You need specification of mu. Okay, so this property specification part is done in processing or even in pre-processing setup part. Calculation of this alpha, mu, in case they are functions of other variables like temperature or pressure, like that. So calculation of these quantities, initial conditions, boundary conditions, these are the parts, and the solutions of the equation, solutions of the algebraic equation. So now PDEs are converted into algebraic equations. They are not no more PDEs. Okay. Once you apply CFD method, they become algebraic simultaneous equations and algebraic equations simultaneous equations. You can do simultaneous equations. Okay. Once you solve this, what you get? You get the velocity fields, and once you get the velocity fields, you plot these velocity fields or temperature fields at different locations. Say, for example, you want to know what is the temperature in this whole line. Okay, here, what is the temperature in this whole line? So you would like to know. So you would like to process it. So once you post process, so there will be generation of plots like that. Maybe I want to get the this is the x direction, this is the y direction. So I want to know what is the temperature T with respect to y. So you will get some data here. Okay, it may be some variation. So similarly, you would like to get this is called as line blocks. Okay, but sometimes I would like to know what is the temperature of the whole domain. In this whole domain, in that case, you can use different ways. So that is called as contours. So you can get the uh, regions of same colors. Okay, regions of same colors. You get this red, blue, yellow, like that. Some colors will be there. Okay. So contours. This the meaning of the contours is that if you move, okay, the meaning of the contour that is very important. Okay, what do you mean by contour? So many people say contour, 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 but what is the meaning of the contour actually? The meaning of the contour is if you move across that region. Suppose on if you are on this region, then you are going to get the same values. Okay, so it is the reason where you bound to get same values. Okay, So suppose in this line, okay, if you go here, if they are of same color, means they will be having the same values here. Here they will be having some other values, but same value everywhere. Okay. So such a plots are called as contour plots. Okay. They will be having same values in this along this contour. Okay. So you can get contours plot. Suppose I want the velocity. I would like to know the velocity. Then I can have a velocity contours. Now these are temperature contours. Velocity contours can also be like that. You can then represent if you by vector diagram. You would like so vectors will be represented by the arrows. So you may get a diagram where you can show different contour, different solutions using contour using this vector. Okay, so these are called as vector plots. Vector plots. So these are some of the minimum number of plots generally people produce after they get the solution. Okay, there can be various methods. Okay, and that is part of your research, and then how you present your data, how you want to convince the people. You can produce as many number of plots, but these are the basic plots. Generally, people the line plot. This is called a line plot or a XY plot or XY plot. This is called as line plot or XY plot. This is called as contour plot and vector plot. So there are three different types of plots generally are plotted. Okay. So first thing first is converting a domain, continuous domain into a discrete domain. That is nothing but a grid generation. Okay. Second thing, solving these Navier-Stokes equations. Solving these Navier-Stokes equations on this discretized domain and get the values in the domain, values of the flow field. And once you get the values of the flow field, you post process these uh, variables solutions. Okay. Now, question comes: how to do the grid generation? What are the different methods which are used to solve this Navier-Stokes equations? And how do you process. This is the part of the learning of CLP. Okay, in the coming classes we will be focusing on how to have different types of grids, how the different methods are there which can be used to solve the Navier-Stokes equation. Some of the methods which are nowadays popular, they are called as solution method. These are called as finite difference method. I will use another page. If you are noted, I'll move to next. So to discretize the PDEs, you say, or Navier-Stokes equation, NS equation. There are majorly three methods in use. Okay. They are practically in use. Number one is called as finite difference method. Okay. Sometimes abbreviated as FDM. And another method is called as finite volume method. Okay. FDM. There is another third popular method which is called as element finite element method. Abbreviated as FEM. This finite difference method is very easy method, but limited to limited to simple geometries. And we know that if you want to use these methods for solving the industrial kind of problems, then you have to the uh, resort to the uh, uh, this other methods. Okay, simple methods don't work because in case of the industrial problems, the geometries are not so simple. Okay, they will be complicated. Say for example, you have a boiler. Okay, it's a very complicated device. If you see from the inside, number of tubes and all these complicated structures are there. So these kind of geometries, which we have a very curvy shapes or drastic change in the dimensions, such a kind of problems are not tackled by the finite difference method. And if you want to tackle, it is not impossible, okay, to tackle. But if you want to tackle this, then you have to do some sort of called as the method called as the domain transformation. So you might have to transform that irregular shape domain into some sort of a regular domain. So once you do the domain transformation, I'm just saying, okay, once you do the domain transformation, in that case, your Navier-Stokes equations will completely change. It's easy to see to use for simple geometries and or complex geometries. For complex geometries, the Navier-Stokes equations becomes complicated. They are unmanageable to solve. Okay, sometimes this transformation is also not easy to find out. Okay, so transformation from one xyz to some other coordinate system. So that coordinate system change in coordinate system. So that functional relationship, it is not easy to get that functional relationship in some of the problems. Okay, some typical problems you can get. Take for example, for faster cylinder you may get, but for other problems it's very difficult. So and these methods are also not conservative. Okay, so not conservative, not conservative. Okay, this not conservative. It means that we have seen that conservation is the basic principles. Always we would like to see there is we would like to see it is a conservation of mass is being
Sir,
implemented or not. Yes.
sir, can you change the color of pen?
Okay. Which color you would like to?
Sir, black or brown?
Okay. Okay. So what I was saying is that these are not conservative. Okay. So conservative principles are not used. I mean, even though the Navier-Stokes equations are used, which are obtained from the conservation principle, But when you are discretizing on a domain, in the domain discretizing process itself, that method doesn't show conservation property, which is not the case with finite volume method. Okay, this finite volume method is having inbuilt conservative property. So there is an inbuilt conservation properties there. Inbuilt conservation properties there. These are suitable for very complicated geometries can be tackled. Okay. Complex geometries can be tackled. Can be tackled. Okay. Same is the case with finite element method. These are also suitable for complex geometries, but these are not have conservation property, not having conservation property. Conservation property. And this finite element method, they are mostly devised for structural problems, but nowadays they can also tackle the physical problems. But when you go for finite element method, the methodology is complicated and the programming part is very complicated. Okay, so it's a time consuming and programming is easy, not so easy. But finite volume method, the programming is not so difficult. It has an inbuilt conservation property. Complex geometries can be used. So you see, as an end effect of this, major fluid flow kind of softwares, say for example ANSYS. So since finite volume method is much better over among the above three. Most of the CFD softwares use finite volume method. Okay. And this finite difference method is generally for teaching purpose. Okay, so to understand initially to understand uh, the fundamentals of CFD, in major courses, this finite difference method is used. Okay. Uh, so in our course also, you will see we will be initially talking about finite difference method, where we will talk about various properties or fundamentals of the CFD, and then once we have grabbed the or grasped the fundamentals of the CFD, we will switch on to application part, where we'll see how Navier-Stokes equations can be used. Okay. However, the philosophy is same. And we'll see how finite volume method is. And if time permits, we will also discuss about finite element method, how finite element method is used in these two problems. Okay. This is finite element method is mathematically very complicated. Its mathematical background is also complicated. If you want to discuss finite element method, you have to discuss various spaces first, and then build up the background for the finite element method. And lot of things are there like assembly matrix, and then you know isoparametric elements, and like that. So it has a lot of in between mathematical components involved, and programming wise combining one local element to the global element. So things are little complicated, but even then we try to take one simple problem and try to get the feel of finite element. Okay. So this is how generally we use. And in FDM, one another important difference I would like to mention. In FDM, we use generally PDEs, okay, partial differential equation, in the partial differential form. So like that del u by del t, u del u by del x, like that. But when it comes to FDM, we integrate PDEs. Okay, so we integrate this PDE. And finally, whatever we have, that integral equations, integral equations are used. Are used. Okay. Similar is the case with finite element method. Okay. We integrate PDEs and we use integral equation. Okay. So this is a very fundamental difference between finite difference method and finite volume method. Integral equations are used. There are other differences, like how the weighting function is used. In case of finite volume method, the weighting function is 1. In a finite element method, the weighting functions can be some other function. Okay. But in terms of seeing the equations we solve, we can say that in finite difference method, only PDEs are used. Finite volume method, we have to use integral equation. And FEM also we have to use integral equation. Okay, now we have seen that we have partial differential. So basic Navier-Stokes equations are partial differential equation. Partial differential equation. Now, when you come to mathematics, for example, you already know. So, whenever you come to PDEs, we know that what are PDEs? Suppose I write this thing again, d2t dx2 is equals to 0. This is the steady state 1D conduction problem. Is this a PDE? Is this a PDE? Is this a PDE? Partial differential equation? Mahesh? Yeah, Tarun is saying yes. No, this is not PDE. Not a PDE. Okay. PD doesn't mean that whenever you represent by partial derivative, it doesn't mean that it is a PD. To have a PD, this is not a PD, not a PD. To have a PD, this dependent variable should be function of two or more than two independent variables. Okay, so to have a PD, dependent variable should be a function of two or more than two independent variables. We are talking about now Cartesian coordinates, so we are talking about x, y, z. We can talk about r theta g system, or we can have spherical coordinate systems also. Any coordinate system we can talk, but in this course, most of the time we will be talking about Cartesian coordinate system because it is easy to see the Cartesian coordinate system and understand. Okay, so these are easy. So this essentially uh, this essentially has to be written like a total derivative or complete derivative. So like okay, because there is no other variation. So this is like okay. So but however this is also soluble only. Okay. But the important thing is you got to know. Okay. So one thing is when you have to have PD, you should have more than two independent variables. Okay. Dependent variable should be function of more than two independent. Then only we have a PD. Other thing in mathematics, generally we see about the order of the order of the PDE. Now I want to ask a question. I'm going to write one equation here. Del x del t del y square is equals to 0. What is the order of this PD? What is the order of this PD? Many of the students they are saying it is order is 1. Order is 1. Is this a PD? Yes, it is a PD. Is this a PD? Yes, it is a PD because t is a function of x and y. Order is 1. What about power? Power is 2. Okay. So okay. So well and good. So this is one other classification. Mathematically. Okay. Now when you come to when we come to CFD, the classification of PD into elliptic, parabolic, and hyperbolic PDE. It is very important. Okay. I would say and hyperbolic PDE is very important. Okay. This may not be important in case of normal mathematics. Okay. When you are dealing with any equation of elliptic nature or parabolic nature, it doesn't have mathematically you don't have to worry about the type of the problem. Okay, but you have to worry about the order of the problem, whether it is a PDE or not. These things are important to consider when you are talking about analytical solution. But when you come to CFD, you have to be very careful about the nature of the PDE. Okay, so that is what we are going to say see in the next class. I will say I will already covered 55. So we'll try to see what are the elliptical PDEs, what are the parabolic PDEs, and what are the hyperbolic PDEs. Okay. One thing again I can add here, in such cases in CFD, then we have two types of problems. Okay. So we have two types of problems. We have two types of problems. Number one is called as equilibrium problem. Equilibrium problem. Or this is also called as Joule problem. Okay. Or also called as Joule problem. Joule. And another problem is called as marching problem. Okay. Marching problem. So if I have to tell you the difference between these two types of problems, Joule problem will not have any time derivative. Okay, Joule problem will not have equilibrium problems will not have any time derivative. So say for example, in number one case, if I have to give an example, so this PDE is an elliptical PDE, or this is the problem when you specify BC is here plus BC, this plus BC or initial condition, this problem will be called as equilibrium problem. This problem will be called as equilibrium problem. Okay, we'll see what is the implication of equilibrium problem, what and Marching problem. Okay, in terms of CFD, you have to be very careful regarding this. Okay, the nature of the PD is very important in CFD. However, the second case, marching problems will have this nature: del T, del T, or equals to del 2T and del X2 plus del 2T del Y2 plus sorry equals this is there, and I would say and, not plus to this equation. Okay, plus boundary conditions and initial. Now, in first case, there is no initial condition, there is no time, so no need to write there initial condition. Initial condition here gives a marching problem. Okay. So, marching in time, You see, there is a time-like variable, so you have to march in time. Okay. Not only time, it can be some sort of this equation also. Maybe some equation, governor equation is like this, is equals to del 2p del x2 and some boundary conditions. Okay. And initial conditions, you can start with the initial conditions at x is equals to 0, and you can say that this is also marching problem where we have this x variable is like a time like variable. Okay, so marching means you are marching in particular direction. Okay, marching in a particular direction. So here you see in time, in a timeline from 0 time you are marching towards some timeline. From x location you are marching toward the final destination. So that is how these marching problems are uh, named. Equilibrium problems are like where you have the governing equations, but these governing equations will be completely different based on the boundary condition. Okay, they will bounded by the boundary conditions. Whatever the boundary conditions are there, they will force that equation to get the equilibrium solution to satisfy the boundary. In other cases, they will evolve with respect to time. Okay. So these two different problems are considered as equilibrium problem and marching problem. Okay. So this one classification of problems is there. In the next class, we will see the classification of the partial differential equations uh, into how we classify any PDE, general second order PDE into elliptical, parabolic, and hyperbolic. And why do we need to classify this? What is the need of classification of this? Okay, as I said, there can be equilibrium problem, marching problem, but also we mention what is the need of the partial differential classification of partial differential equation. We will see some of the elliptical, parabolic, and hyperbolic PDEs with examples how their classification differs in terms of their application, and we'll switch over to the next topic. Okay, so that is for today. Anybody is having any question, any doubt in this part? Anybody is having any question? Okay, shall we move now?
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
Hello? Sir, I have a suggestion sir,
Yeah.
hello?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, in last time we had FEM, sir. In that subject, we'll have these complex matrices and all those things, right? So, what sir used to do is like he used to write the things on a piece of paper, and he will take a pic and attach that pic to the PPT, and he'll present during class. So, if you could do that, it will be more than useful.
See, different people have different philosophy, and I feel that whenever you demonstrate on the board, it is a time consuming, no doubt, but doing simultaneously it together is an effective way of doing the thing. However, in our cases, those matrices will not come.
Sir, but the things which you have written here, many people like me, we are not able to understand.
What?
It's not clear.
Means?
So, it's not clear because when we want to prepare notes or when we want to refer at a later stage, it would be difficult. So that's what I thought.
Which thing is not clear? I mean, I
So,
had to
even. Hello?
Yeah, I can listen.
So you were about to say something.
No, I was saying which thing it is not clear because
So,
I think
so the expressions and all those things, because you're writing on your, freehand, it's not that much clear. So that's what. Even CR has something.
so I'll try to improve on my this thing, but making this PPT presentation is not a good idea.
Okay.
Because you may get the equations in that, but you may not get the feel of deriving the equation. Okay. It will be like hand waving. Just show them, then just it. And then you would like to just save the PPTs and just like that. It won't work actually. I'm sure I know what problem you might be facing is that there may be two, three like that. But this can be rectified, because if you see the symmetry, suppose one equation, suppose one of the equation you are looking at, for example, this equation, then you can understand that two is there, 2 is there. Now this 2, although it doesn't look that much clear, but you can understand. And if you follow the class, I feel that it will be better. Okay, rather than just having this can be nicely put on the PPT. It will save my time. That's not a problem. Okay, I don't have to prepare. I mean to say that I don't have to do any much more physical work. That is easy for me. But if you see people doing, you get a better feel of it, and you also should do simultaneously. If there is anything left in between, so I always would like to get your textbook, what are the notes you are writing. Okay, suppose in case I have to set a paper, for example, then in that case I will ask what are the notes you have. So based on that, I will see, okay, what students are writing, and if they have any queries in between, then I will rectify. But
Sure,
as
sir.
far as I
Thank
can see, yeah, and we are advanced students, and we can understand what is written. Like this is parabolic and hyperbolic. And while writing, I'm saying, okay, so there might be some network issues, but when I'm saying and also writing, it might help you. Okay, that is what I'm saying. I'm considering. And see this. Some things are like copyright problems are there. I don't know how the ATM person needs to manage, but in my personal opinion, that might lead to the copyright issue. It is always better to have your own writing and own this thing, wording. If you want to refer any textbook, I would like you to go through this textbook. So I have this. Is it you just mirror it? Okay, I can't show you here. You'll have to mirror it. Okay. So this is a book by Tanil Anderson and Fletcher. Okay. So there are 3 authors, Tanil Anderson and Fletcher. So this book is a big voluminous book, and what I'll be teaching is a compressed form of this book. Okay. Notations might not be exactly the same which they are using, because they are using compact notation. Say, for example, if they want to use del U by del X, so they are using U sub X. Okay. So this is a compact notation, but it doesn't give a feeling of this. Okay. So we'll be doing many things. They look like a hard work, but to grasp in the beginning or in the first level course, uh, doing from the expanded form is always better. Okay, but once you grasp the things, then such a kind of notations you can use in later stages. Even there are certain notations called as index notations. This can be used, okay, for such a derivatives. Those are also possible. Okay. Uh, del u I, del x g, like that. Some notation system should be there. So like that.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So the thing is, some words are not clear. It's not readable. So maybe it's the problem of the app you're using. So if you could,
No,
Yes, sir.
it's not a problem of the app. Actually, when I'm writing, actually that is the blind this thing. Okay, so when I write, this is called as something a pad. Okay, so on this pad I have to just write in the air like that. Okay, and I
Oh,
have to
okay.
see here that text will appear here. So that synchro. I mean, this is not my actual handwriting actually. What you are saying is not my actual handwriting. So you see here this awkward gone somewhere. So it is like writing on a page this black this board with using this stylus. So I'll have to just write on a stylus like this. You see, I'm writing some lines, so it will appear those lines there. So I don't know how. I mean, so I think I'm using recently. So some of the my handwriting will not reflect exactly the way it is, but I think it should be understandable. Okay.
Maybe
I'll,
if you could
I'll
write
make
a
it
bit
slow
more.
down. I'll make it slow down.
Yes, sir. If you could write it a bit more bigger, it would be better, I guess, sir.
Yeah, bigger, and I'll try to make it slow. That okay. So that I can try. That I can do. That
Yes,
is
sir.
the
Thank you.
situation. Okay. So shall we leave now?
Sir, hello, sir.
Yeah. Hello.
Sir, can you share that name of the book and the author once again, please?
Oh yeah. I have already shared with one of the student, Manas. But I can when I'm showing you, this is the mirror image will come. You know. So you
Yes,
understand
sir.
this?
Can you type the name of the book in the chat box?
Okay. Okay. So stop sharing. Oh, no, that is the chat over there. I'll try to share a link also. I can get quickly. Drop the link and the link also. There is a new edition also. This is the second edition, which that PDF link is there. You can have this third edition also, this latest one. This is a costly one. You might not be able to get, but this PDF you can download the second edition. Second edition is also enough. No issues with that. Okay. It's a very huge. It has covered large number of schemes and problems. Those who want to pursue later on to work on some other methods, they can refer to these 50 later stages. So there are no more questions or no more queries. We shall leave.